So what is up guys, Mike here. So it's been a while since I've posted a video because as you guys saw on my community post, I posted there that I've started flight training. And I plan to document and share with you guys my journey because we are fam here and I want you guys to learn something in my videos to give you some ideas to what to expect if you plan to pursue to be a pilot. And maybe inspire you in the long run too. So for today's video is what we'll be talking about is the 5 things that I didn't knew before starting my flight training or flying career. So let's get it. Number 1. Playing flight sim really helped me on my flight training. This kind of a bit surprising for me because of how accurate flight sims nowadays that it is very similar on how you do it on an actual aircraft. For me, what I noticed was before I entered flight training, I play some simulator games on my PC, and on that simulator, there's a part there called Flight School, which basically teaches you the basics of flying an aircraft, like takeoffs, landings, trying to nail that 100% score on that flight sim and all that fun stuff. So by playing flight sim over and over, I tend to notice that when I started ground school, it's much easier in some way to relate to the topics by imagining stuff and also by applying the things that I learned from ground school to the flight sim. And it's much better if you do some advanced reading for you to get familiar with things and terminologies so that those information will be stored effectively in your long-term memory so you can easily recall it once you've started flight training. Note, don't think that playing flight sim is enough for you to be able to fly an actual aircraft because there's a lot of factors that you need to know first and avoid in the actual flying, and that's why flight schools are there to guide us. And did you guys saw the new Microsoft Flight Sim 2020? Number 2. You can't do a barrel roll or inverted flight on just any aircraft. So this one is kind of a bit bummer for me because we all have that certain imagination or daydream that we had when we were younger. And as for me, it was an inverted flight, looking upward to see the beauty of the earth. As I learned from my ground school, it's impossible for some aircraft due to many factors. Like if the aircraft fuel system is gravity fed, you can't go inverted because the aircraft relies on gravity. Meaning the only thing that pushing the fuel into the engine is the 9.8 meter per second squared, aka the gravity. So in many flight training schools, they use gravity-fed airplanes because number 1, it's cheaper than those with pumps or fuel-injected ones, and number 2, it's much more easier to maintain, and number 3, it's more practical for flight training schools because it's more cheaper. So if your flight school have those airplanes that can go inverted, send me a video for the sake of childhood dreams. And comment down below on what's your childhood maneuver goals or dreams. Number 3, they use 24-hour clock, aka the military time. So if you're just like me that doesn't use the 24-hour clock basis or the military time and uses the standard 12-hour basis to their day-to-day, then you might want to adjust your clock in your phone, laptop, or computer, and even how you read your watch to help you to get that grasp of 24-hour system naturally when you're flying. So if you're having a hard time adjusting, I'm gonna show you my conversion. So the conversion is just simple. If you see 1300 local military time, just minus 2 on that second number or second digit and just ignore the first digit, and that's how you get the standard time. Oh, and also they use Zulu time in flight, so you just need to convert that current military time to Zulu by subtracting it to 8, and that's different for each country. Here in the Philippines, it is set to minus 8. Number 4. NATO phonetic alphabet. For some reason, I'm familiar with this even before starting flight training because I was curious back then on what those pilots are saying when they respond to the radio. So have you ever heard the word Sierra, Uniform Bravo, Tango Oscar, Mike Echo? Those are the NATO alphabet or the phonetic alphabet. It is used in the aviation industry and also the military in their day-to-day communication to the radio. It is used to distinguish different letters clearly because some sounded the same. For example, the letter B and D, B, D, B, D, B, D, they sounded the same, right? And You might have experienced this in grade school or high school, when the teacher asks you to check the test paper of the other class because he or she might be feeling lazy that day. So she just announced the correct letters for you guys to check. But when you heard the letter B or D, you sounded to get confused because they sound the same. And you started interrupting your seatmate asking for what the teacher just said, and because of that your seatmate didn't hear the next answer and he disturbed another seatmate, and until a chain reaction began. And that's why it's also crucial in aviation that both parties must understand one another clearly to prevent unwanted problems. So even E and T or E or P sounded the same. So yeah. Let's move on to number 5. Equipments are kind of expensive. So every student or every person has their first impression if they heard the word aviation or pilot. And the first thing that comes to their mind is expensive. It's not a secret now that studying and taking this path is actually very expensive, but to think that even the equipments would be expensive as well. Like for example, I love building my PC bit by bit. And when I started looking up headphones or headsets, I thought that 4,000 pesos or $82.71 is already expensive for a piece of headset. Now that I've entered flight school, I thought that a headset would just cost around at the same price range as my computer headset. Surprisingly, I'm wrong. Price range of aviation headset costs around 10,000 pesos to 65,000 pesos, or $206 to $1,300, including tax. And the first thing that came to my mind was, that's some expensive headset. And I got curious. What's up with these headsets and other aviation items, right? And I've stumbled with an answer. First reason was the build quality. Second was research for perfection. And the third was quantity and demand. So aviation headsets and other items are very well made and can survive for years and years of usage. Unlike items that you can buy cheaply on any store, the quality of these aviation items are far much more superior than those. Also, you can tell that those manufacturers really did their research and properly applied it into their products. For example, ordinary headsets or computer headset will not protect you from those dangerous sound on an aircraft. There's a research conducted by the FAA and the military that 30% of pilots suffered from permanent hearing loss, and a study conducted by NASA and OSHA that both Cessna 182 and 172 produce sound levels greater than 100 decibels. Also take note that sound level over 90 decibels will start damaging your hearing. That's why a good pair of headset is an investment for years of more flying. And lastly, the quantity and demand. These items are expensive because it is specialized for a certain group of people, mainly the aviation industry. And if you look at the perspective of a company, to be able to mass produce a product for a certain group of people, you need resources, research team, land to be able to manufacture these items, and many more. With these specialized products catered to a certain field, they need to factor in all that stuff, and this also happens with other industries or fields as well, and it's just nice to know. Okay, I'm gonna give you guys a bonus number. Number 6. Plan ahead of time. So before you enter a flight school, you should have a clear vision or clear image of what you want or what your goal is, and make a systematic strategy that would help you to achieve that goal. Because in my case, I started a bit late because I took up different path in college, and lately realizing that being a pilot is what I really want and what I really wanted to be. And there's a long story behind this, but yeah, next time. So before you enter this field or career choice, first ask yourself if you want this really bad. Reflect on it, ask for guidance, and pray. Because if you don't have that necessary drive or motivation or reason to push you every single day, then you might not last in this field, or worse, you might regret choosing this path. And that goes for every single field that you can imagine. So for those who are in high school, set a systematic strategy. What age do you want to enter flight school? Can you manage taking a separate course while going on a flight school? Or you want to go to a flight school that offers already a bachelor's degree? These are some you should think about and strategize about. Anyway, that's my 6 things that I didn't knew before entering a flight school that I think that would benefit you guys who are planning to start your aviation career soon. And for those who are new here, welcome. Check out my previous videos on how to choose your flight schools and other good stuff that might help you. And did you guys saw my secret message on this video? Yeah, just comment it down below. Stay safe as always and fly with you guys soon.
It's all about humanity. About humanity.